Good day, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And my guest today is bringing the origins of prog to current times with phenomenal authenticity. His band Agropelter just released their debut album, Book of Hours, on July the 25th on the Laser's Edge. Please welcome my guest, Kay Olsen. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on Different Stages Radio. How are things in Norway today?
We just had a heat wave for a couple of weeks, so it's very nice. We have some rain finally, and we'll be able to relax. We're not used to that heat, so yeah.
Keep those fires away. We don't want fires.
No,
drought is not good. No. So
Okay.
we're almost a week in, the first week of release of Book of Hours. How exciting has this time for you been? You're saying just before we started the interview, you've been doing a number of interviews recently, getting people jacked for the album. I'll butt in first before you answer that question and say, when I first was sent some preview information on this band and project, I'm like immediately thinking, this sounds like something from the day. This is too good and too true to be new. The music is just not made like this anymore. And then it's like, no, this is actually new. I'm like, this is impossible. So congratulations on that. How has the reception been so far to Book of Hours?
Well, it has been great. Like you said, I think it's a good time to release progressive music right now, especially in being Norwegian and all. We have a good culture for that type of music right now. So yeah, the reception for the album has been stellar, I think.
Now, is it maybe the heat wave bringing on this Norwegian prog? Because it seems the country has really been on, you've always been on fire, but it seems there's been definitely, like you just touched on, a resurgent recently, especially with some newer artists such as yourself that are just like, what is this and where have you been?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
so what is a bit of your background?
Well, I have been a musician for 30 years, played in various bands, but that's a long time ago. I decided in 2019, I was just trying to put the keyboard down and play around with some patches in GarageBand back in the day, and heard some Mellotron sounds, and I just like, maybe this is cool. Maybe I can play the piano keyboard. I was a bit tired of, I was a metalhead back in the days. I was a bit tired of, distorted guitars and all that stuff. So why just not make something new that I didn't explore before? And I'm also very into jazz and classical music. So I just wanted to make music that I wanted to listen to, that necessarily didn't necessarily sound like anything else. So yeah, and we're here.
Well, and your amazing ability, I find, to leave the space, because that's what I'm loving a lot about the album, and is it that space and letting things breathe in the hills and the valleys and the moods. And I'm like, oh, this is like just overall the tones. Jacob, was it Jacob Holm-Lupo who mixed them, produced like that's the thing. It's one thing to maybe capture the song, but the overall to get that sound where it's I don't want to say it sounds dated, because it doesn't, but it's just reminiscent of things that I grew up on as well and still enjoy and listen to, but it's still sounding current while definitely clearly a throwback. Like I think you couldn't have done it any more beautifully.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but like you say, I think what sounds like the old prog bands from the 70s, I use a Mellotron and a Hammond organ and that stuff because I love how it sounds. I think that's probably where the references stop. So at some point, because I didn't want it to sound like Genesis or Yes or King Crimson, I wanted to do my own thing, and a lot of the structure in the songs are basically from classical music. So the chord progressions, instrumentation, and all that stuff is basically classical music a lot of the time. And I throw some electric lead guitar in there because I love how that sounds. I didn't want to have a lot of distorted rhythm guitars because, to me, I'm a bit tired of that. I like dynamics and orchestration in forms of putting in strings or Hammond organ or woodwinds or pipe organs and that stuff. I think it sounds, I wouldn't say original, but different, maybe.
And once again, there's a lot of these sort of analogies, and I get it, to try to draw people in to check you out with the Genesis and the King Crimson references.
Yeah.
And of course, I will throw the Camel in there as a longtime Camel
I love
fan.
Camel. Yeah.
But always also noticing, and now that you touch on the orchestration side of things, I find also a bit of a soundtrack mood in there as well, where I'm
absolutely.
I'm feeling that you're possibly, and if not, correct me, but heavily influenced by Mike Oldfield, perhaps, and some Jan Hammer, perhaps, and some Chick Corea as well, maybe, as far as the keys go.
I think, you know, I love Vangelis as well, and Jan Hammer, absolutely. He did a lot of cool things with wasn't it Tony Williams and that stuff in the 70s?
Yeah.
But maybe more of the 80s type of feel that I always also wanted to have on this album, because if it's one thing that divides the prog people, it's, you know, the 70s versus the 80s, right? So I think a lot of prog bands have cool stuff in the 80s, so why not, you know, make it sound like that also? There are no rules here. So, you know, I want to do what I want to do.
Well, that's the thing. When it's all said and done, it's your album, it's your creativity, and you have to be the one who's most pleased, and you can't be compromising your integrity and your artistry just to please others.
No,
I think it's pretty much simple as that. Now, you have a pretty amazing cast of guest players on the album, including Jonas Reingold from, of course, Steve Hackett and the Flower Kings and so forth, and Kaipa. Are these people that you already knew and had in mind, or are these people that you approached? Are these friends already?
No, I approached Jonas, being a big fan of his. I think since the Flower Kings album, The Rainmaker, that was my first meeting with them. I think that's probably my favorite album from them still. And he has some gorgeous fretless bass solos on there.
Yeah.
So I tried to play some fretless bass solos. I'm a big Jaco Pastorius fan also, loving Weather Report and all that good stuff. But I tried to play it myself, bought a fretless bass. I think it sounded okay. But then I thought, you know that guy I used to listen to, what was his name? And, you know, I took up the Rainmaker. I thought, let's just approach him and see what happens. And he said, yeah, send me some songs. He liked the songs, and he put two solos on there. And you know what? My fretless bass solos doesn't sound as good now. Let me just put it like that, after he put his mark on it.
Once you get, you know, the proper pro in there, there you go. But still, you had the fundamental idea, so you already had something to present to him.
Yeah,
sort of, giving him the vibe of what you were looking for, or did you give him full creativity that he could just come up with the piece?
No, well, I did send him my takes so he could, you know, get a feel for what I was thinking. But I just said, you know what? If you want to do something like that and expand on it, fine. If you want to do your own thing, just go for it. And I think he pretty much did his own thing. It sounded very like Jaco Pastorius, which I love. Yeah, just a phenomenal guy.
And can you talk about some of the other guests that you have on the album?
Of course.
Andreas and Mattias.
Yeah, Andreas is someone that I learned about from an old friend of mine from, I guess, high school or something like that. He put together a band, and I saw that he had some clips on Instagram with a drummer that was really creative. And I just hit him up and just said, you know, I love your playing. Would you, you know, let's have a coffee and, you know, have a chat and see if we get along. And I want to explain how I want this project to go, because I did have digital drums up until then. The demos sounded okay, but, you know, as okay as you can get with the digital stuff. So he, you know, basically did his own thing. We recorded over 3 sessions, I believe. The consummate professional guy, very good recorder as well. Had his own mics and, you know, very professional. Great guy, great drummer.
It's a nicely, yeah, you can't match real drums or have that real organic, you know, acoustic drum sound is crucial. Mattias?
Yeah. Well, he has been a friend of Jacob for a long time. He played drums and percussion, I believe, in White Willow as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I approached him because he has an Instagram account what I believe he just plays with his studio. He has some old quirky instruments. He does a lot of weird things, weird sounds and atmospheres, and that was kind of what I was looking for, because I had all the instruments. I just believe that, you know what, let this guy just be the madman that he is, putting his, you know, pedals and effects, and he puts everything in reverse and through an old tape recorder. It's just madness, right? So I think that that was the icing on the cake. I love how his parts turn out. So, you know, talk about a creative guy, because I believe he sent me something around 10 to 20 files per song, so I could just pick and choose whatever I wanted to do, and I picked out what I liked, and what I thought, you know, fit into the mix, if you will, because you can't have too many instruments, because, like you said, it needs to breathe, it needs to have its own place in, you know, the spectrum with regards to frequencies and all that stuff. So yeah, I love his old band, which probably a lot of people know. So big honor, really, to have him on.
Excellent. Now, as I was reading up more on the album, the Book of Hours 2 is where was the first song that you wrote for the album. So essentially you kind of expanded it outwards from there, because that's kind of the middle of the album.
Yeah, well, I wrote some of the ideas and songs without naming them first.
Okay.
So yeah, that was I think that was the first thing I ever wrote. And I think that song, along with the track Levitator, was the two of the first tracks that I wrote. They're more, I wouldn't say they're commercial pieces by any means, right? But I believe I found my form after that.
Okay.
So yeah, Ken Golden has a good nose for pulling out songs that maybe could, I wouldn't call them singles, but yeah, those two songs were the ones that we picked to promote.
Gets people's ears peaked, mine included. So Ken did well. Good job, Ken.
Yeah, he's a good guy, that guy.
A very, very good guy. Now, is there any chance with some of these friends that you have now that you might be able to do some shows? Is there ideas of doing, I don't know if a tour is possible, but even like a couple of shows? Is that possible?
It of course it's not impossible, but you know, it's so time consuming to put together this thing. And maybe if we did something in Oslo, maybe, I'm not sure. Everything's possible. Let's put it at that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can look at maybe Prog Power in Atlanta 2026, Agropelter.
Maybe
doing Book of Hours front to back, and who knows what
that
else?
would be cool.
Who knows what else you've created by them? We'll maybe throw that plug out there and see how that may develop over the coming months. Now, are you or have you already started? Like, for one, is there any kind of leftovers from this album? Do you already have ideas about a follow-up, or are you just kind of you've completed this, you're just going to pull back and just let this go for a bit?
I have a lot of material, not necessarily left off from this record, but you know, other things that maybe are more on the cinematic side, maybe sounds a bit more classical, I think. But you know, if I have a lot of that, it's a good idea to start writing for a new album, because you know, like you said, I want you know, it go up and down, dynamics, all that stuff. So I could probably write an album. Hopefully I will get something finished, perhaps 26, maybe 27. So hopefully I will do that. I want to do one more at least.
And are you pretty comfortable with just keeping things and again, I love the instrumental albums, but is vocal something that's in the back of your mind that, depending on the song, if it works, or are you pretty happy keeping it more the orchestration, soundtracky as is?
I think I just want to do it like it is, because it's a whole different type of it's a different mentality when you're writing music, because you know, I always joke around how easy the bands that have vocals has it, because you write something, it goes for 2 minutes, you can have a chorus and you repeat it, and that's that. But you know, if you do all instruments, you need to have fresh ideas all the time, and something needs to happen. You have to have a theme or a voice or something going on in the background. So I think it's a lot more challenging. So I think that's what I enjoy writing. It's instrumental music. If I have a couple of ideas to do some cover songs, maybe as an addition to some album or something, but that needs to be with top people.
Yeah.
So let's see what I can do.
I think you can do a lot. I have this feeling, but it's the fact that I feel that you're still got that old soul in you, that it's about the album, it's not about songs. And you've once again succeeded with Book of Hours, that even though there are kind of some individual tracks in the first little part, it's still just a great album experience, and the flow and the consistency is crucial. So that's where I feel that perhaps just doing a song per se isn't quite up your alley.
No. I think if I want to do an album, one more album, I will do it in the same style, if you will. Create it as a one piece, if you will, not standalone songs. So yeah, like you said, the Book of Hours record, you have the opening theme is something that is repeated in the last ending. So, the opening track called Flute of Peril could very easily have been Book of Hours Part 1. So, yeah, the whole album flows good, I think. And it's part of a bigger idea, I think.
Start of something even grander, perhaps over time. Now, go back to the earlier part of the conversation of how Norway and the prog is taking over. Can you maybe name drop some bands from back in the day or even current times that are perhaps under the radar that, say, people in Canada or North America or even maybe other parts of Europe maybe aren't aware of? That they're
Norwegian bands?
Pardon me?
Norwegian bands?
Yeah, some Norwegian prog bands that maybe just flew under the radar that were, should be revisited.
I think probably my favorite current prog band is Wobbler, but they're not. I think maybe most of your people know about that band. Lars Fredrik Frøysli put out a masterpiece right now, Gamle Mester. Great stuff. For the unknown stuff, I have a lot of old friends from back in the day which are into jazz. It's a drummer called Gard Nilsen. He actually played with Pat Metheny.
Okay.
He has a band called Bushman's Revenge. I think that's really cool. You have to check the latest album out. He also have a group called Gard Nilsen's Supersonic Orchestra. I think you should check out. Of course, Stian Karstensen. He put out an album a couple of years ago. He's very into Hungarian wedding music.
Okay.
So it's very, and he has Mike Patton from Faith No More sing on a track. He also has Jacob Collier, I believe, the phenom, Jacob Collier. Stian Karstensen, he's a great guy. I think that's a prog rock album. It's called Musical Sanatorium. So check that out.
Well, appreciate the heads up and the things to look out for. Now, as far as I'm very excited that there's physical CDs and vinyl of Book of Hours that also people can get now on differentstagesradio.com, and of course, I'm sure through the Laser's Edge. Do you have any other merch in the works? Do you have any maybe some shirts, stuff that people can get through you directly if they want to support Kay Olsen directly? Where would they go?
Yeah, I actually opened the web shop now this Monday. I haven't marketed it anywhere. It's agropeltermusic.com. You could basically get... I think I have one here. These cool shirts with maybe it's...
Oh, yeah, there we go. I need one of those.
So that's cool. I want, the logo to have... people thinking about old stuff. So I used to love He-Man when I was young, and that's maybe something that looks like that.
That's totally, as soon as you said it now, it totally has the He-Man vibe. That's yet another throwback, but it's the 80s, not the 70s. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I once again I appreciate your time today, Kay. I'm really excited about Book of Hours, and everybody else should be too, because this I think is easily one of the sleeper releases of 2025. I think it's going to make a lot of album lists at the end of the year, and I think you've got some bigger and grander things on the horizon. Once again, thanks to Kay Olsen and Agropelter. This is Different Stages Radio.
Thank you.